by the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, the cradle of a European civilization and the birthplace of some of the greatest architectural wonders in the world. Not them, they're doing fine for their age. I was thinking more about the beautiful surrounding landscape of Mersin and the remarkable sights in this part of the world. Some of the most fascinating mixtures of cultures. And that's just what's going to happen today on the competition floor. It's a very warm welcome to you indeed to the European Artistic Gymnastics Championships of 2020. This weekend of men's competition begins with the floor exercise as the first apparatus final. Top qualifier Igor Sharomkov of Belarus will go number 4 in the order and may, if we're lucky, stay in the building because he's got a pretty high opening tumbling pass. Artem Dolgopayat, second strongest qualifier, goes 6th in the order. The third strongest qualifier, Petro Pakniuk, is the penultimate gymnast, and first reserve Alexander Bender comes in for Abdelrahman El Gamal of Turkey. With the caveat that Petro Pakniuk did have some difficulties in the floor exercise in yesterday's team competition. And what of yesterday's team competition? Well, it had everything. It's a real sporting cliche to say, but it is true because, my goodness me, it was a real up and down affair. And it ended with, as is customary at these championships, gold for Ukraine because they're having a wonderful competition, courtesy chiefly of a young gentleman called Ilya Kovtun, who in the junior events has won, would you believe it, 5 gold medals and a silver medal. Extraordinary young athlete that he is. Future very bright for Ukrainian gymnastics, that is clear. And will it be bright today for them in the apparatus finals? Turkey were the silver medalists in the team competition, their first ever medal in a team event at artistic gymnastics continental competition level, after Ukraine's first ever gold. And Hungary's first ever medal, that gentleman there, Christopher Mészáros, was a key part of the team, a lovely stylish gymnast who's earned his place in this floor final and demonstrated in the team final yesterday that he has the capacity to challenge for honours. Yes, I think it might just be hitting him now that he's kicking things off in a European floor final. Behind him is Ahmet Önder. Behind him, Vladislav Hriko, who were, like Mészáros, very heavily involved in the team competition yesterday. Behind them is Igor Sharomkov, who was not part of the team competition. That gentleman there was Alexander Bender. He's come in at short notice, although we did expect that Abdelrahman El Gamal would not be able to compete in everything today after his injury issues yesterday. And that really was one of the saddest features of the day, was this poor young athlete injuring himself shortly before the start of competition and being used in a limited fashion. It really did impact Turkey's chances of winning a gold medal despite being the top qualifiers. Anyway, a line drawn under it. It's time to begin the men's floor final. Christopher Mészáros of Hungary, 5th strongest in qualification, the reigning Hungarian floor champion. Turkey's Ahmet Önder, 8th strongest in qualification. He has won a floor gold at the World Cup in Mersin before, a couple of years ago. Vlad Hriko of Ukraine, 7th strongest in qualification. Silver medalist at the national championships. Igor Sharomkov, the top qualifier from Belarus, a fascinating floor routine he has. Ano Bemovic of Croatia, 6th strongest qualifier, a real floor specialist and national champion. Artem Dolgopayat of Israel, 2nd strongest in qualification, a world championship and European championship medalist on the floor. And Petro Pakniuk, the 3rd strongest qualifier, floor medalist at the European Games last year. Alexander Bender of Austria, the 9th strongest in qualification, first reserve, and he is the reigning Austrian floor champion. So today is the day of the specialists. And that, I think, really evidenced by the number of national champions we've got competing in this men's floor exercise final. Ollie Hogben here bringing you all of the action from these European Championships taking place in the Mersin Gymnastics Hall that was built for the 2013 Mediterranean Games. Doubt very much whether he remembers that, because he's only 19, is Christopher Mazaros, the young man from Győr, where the Junior World Championships were held last year. Has been in form lately, the reigning Hungarian all-around champion and also the floor champion, the 5th strongest in qualification with 14.333. And it goes without saying, yet I'm going to say it nonetheless, that qualification scores do not carry over. A little bit unsteady on that landing, more so than in the team competition yesterday. Lovely form in his twist work. What a good line established in the close control work to the apparatus. Just a touch piked on some of his landings today. He's just a lovely athlete to watch, Christopher Mazaros. Really has a fluidity and an elegance to his work. Second senior European Championships for him. He was 14th in the all-around competition at the Junior European Championships in Glasgow in 2018. Good toe point in the Russian Wenderschwing. Keeps the heels pressed together until the moment of release to bring the turns to a halt. Again, nice toe point in a lot of his twisting, keeping the heels together. Little details that the judges will watch out for. Really establishes his point of balance well in the Russian. And there, just a little bit of untidiness as he comes into land. Those overly bent landings, the sort of piked or jackknifed landings that the judges will be alert for from an execution standpoint. So an 8.433 for his execution score in qualification. Yes, same difficulty, 13.966. Not a surprise to see his execution down by a little. So just under half a mark down from qualification, Mazaros. Now to Ahmet Ünder of Turkey. He will be hoping to ignore the memories of the Glasgow 2018 floor final, where he was a strong qualifier for that and had some difficulties. 8th best in qualification here, 14.033. Didn't have the easiest of days in the team final yesterday. But one thing you can say concretely about Ahmet Ünder is that when he delivers, the scores he delivers are highly useful to his team. He can produce big numbers. Good challenge thrown down there by the 24-year-old from Ödemiş in Izmir province. Well, the Turkish team was saying yesterday, quite rightly, what a triumph it is that they were disappointed to win silver. And I think it was a point that one would do well to register, actually. Because, yes, there was an expectation from so many that Turkey would come here and win the gold medal. And as many of the teams said, the fact that they feel that silver was not quite what they wanted shows just how far this team has grown, because I'm sure many of you watching this are thinking back to a time when, for you, Turkish men's artistic gymnastics wasn't even on your radar, no matter how serious a fan of the sport you may have been. Now it's on everyone's radar. And with elegance and with poise and with real artistry too. How splendid it is for a team to be disappointed by a history-making accomplishment. So strong is their conviction in what they can achieve. So in the provisional gold medal position is Ahmet Önder of Turkey with 14.066, but 6 still to go in this final. Vlad Hriko of Ukraine, 7th strongest in qualification with a 14.1 score. He did take a 10th penalty for straying out of bounds on one of his passes. He nearly did there too, but he's okay. That was a close one. Flag's just gone up. First gymnast to employ some air flare work. Another gymnast who's got some lovely form as he twists. Avoided stepping out of bounds on that step back to complete the last tumbling pass. As I mentioned earlier, silver medalist at the National Championships in September. Ukraine, one of the first nations to get its National Championships back up and running after the suspension of competition. We see plenty more flares one expects in the pommel horse final coming up after this. That's where he was a clipped toenail away from going out of bounds, but there was a moment after that where it looked as though the flag had gone up and there would be a 10th penalty. I think it was that moment there that we just briefly glimpsed. But no doubt that Vladislav Hriko is a gymnast who is starting to impose himself more and more in the minds of these selectors. 13.966, confirmation of the 10th penalty. So he's in second position. That means that Meszaros drops down into the bronze medal place. But we now have the opportunity to scrutinise the work of the top qualifier, Igor Shadomkov of Belarus. Take a breath and relax. And that was something, wasn't it? What a starting point. So I will take a 10th there, but the key thing with Igor Shadomkov is he's got some fine difficulty in this routine. Super clearance. No danger of the feet brushing the mat there. Well, that might have put the cat among the pigeons a little bit in terms of the leaderboard. Ahmed Önder currently leading on 14.066. All the difficulties we've had so far have been 5.9 or lower. Sharumkov 6.3 in qualification. How does he go about accumulating this excess of difficulty? Well, it's moments like that where he gets a triple rotation in the air, one more than most of the competitors will be posting. Still a young man, just 21. Particularly nice clearance. Could say that he maybe just started to go a little bit diagonally as he was coming to the end of the Russian Wendeschwing, but plenty of strength and control on show. So where does the man from Mogilev in the east of Belarus, a city that is very old, but when you compare it to a city like Mersin, well, most places don't seem very old. His hometown was founded in 1267. But the big number that counts here is 14.533, because Sharumkov has gone into the lead with the caveat that that is a half mark lower than his qualification score. Execution was the key determinant there, along with the 0.1 penalty. So competition still very open, because we now have Aurel Benovic of Croatia, 6th strongest qualifier, with a score 0.2 lower than that which was registered just now by Sharumkov. That gives a sense of perspective. Oh, he's an exciting athlete to watch on floor. Croatian champion last year. A real specialist as well. This is what he does. He has, thus far, only one international gold medal. And guess where he won it? In this very building. Last year at the Mersin World Cup. And what he is he is a jumper, often from qualification to final performance. He started to establish a bit of a reputation for picking up several tenths, up to as much as half a mark from his qualification performance when he gets to a final. Well, that is something, isn't it, from Aurel Benovic? I think his reaction tells the story. He's delivered in that floor final now, yes. A plea to the gods or the judges, whichever is more powerful. But this is some work from Aurel Benovic. How lovely it is to see an athlete coming into a major final and really inhabiting the space, really belonging in a big competition. Croatia has a collection of 6 medals at the European Championships of Artistic Gymnastics in men's competition. Just 1 gold medal. Medal that I believe was won by Philippe Houdet in Lausanne in 2008. Now, this could be a good... Yes, there we go, 14.6 for Aurel Benovic. He's gone into the gold medal position, and he's done again what he seems to do, which is turn up to a final better than in qualification. And if there's one attribute a gymnast needs, it is that. We have ourselves a new leader. 6th strongest qualifier has gone into the gold medal position. However, here comes Artem Dolgopiat. second strongest in qualification, 14.933. Silver medalist at the last two European Championships. He really is tumbling with power. Just had a couple of moments here and there on some of his landings where he's needed to steady himself or just take a little pace. But there is some high difficulty at work. Now, this is going to be interesting. He might well have a tenth or two of difficulty on young Aurel Benovic. Does Benovic have anything on him when it comes to execution? Get your calculators ready. This could be most interesting. It's a very fine time to be an Israeli gymnast at the European Championships in whatever discipline at the moment. A couple of weeks ago, Linoy Ashram won a hugely dramatic gold medal in the all-around competition at the Rhythmic Gymnastics European Championships. And can the Israeli team in artistic gymnastics continue where their teammates in Rhythmic have left off? Benovic leads. Not anymore, he doesn't. 15 from Dolgopayat. And that is really going to take some beating. I mean, Benovic has got to take his hat off to the 23-year-old. That was something special. So that has guaranteed a third consecutive medal at the European Championships for Artem Dolgopayat. Now it's Petro Pachniuk, third strongest qualifier. He did have a problematic, that's unfortunate, routine in the team final. And he's having a problematic routine here as well. He just seemed more than a touch discombobulated there by having to take some tape off his foot. One must point out that Petro Pachniuk was instrumental to Ukraine's gold medal winning team yesterday. Despite his struggles on floor, he more than made up for it and delivered the routine that ultimately secured them the gold on the horizontal bar. It's unlikely that Petro Pachniuk is going to add to his medal collection in this final, but we are going to see him on 3 more occasions in the pommel horse, parallel bars and horizontal bar competitions. And one suspects that has also secured a medal for Aurel Benovic of Croatia, who's currently sitting in the silver medal position. Well, there's no doubt that Pagnyuk is going to take at least a couple of marks of deductions for having to put his hands down and ending up in a seated position on the mat. The mark at the moment, holding bronze, is 14.533. It's 11.933 for Pagnyuk, which is not a great surprise at all because he had one slip yesterday and picked up a 12.9, so that all makes a lot of sense from a deductions perspective. Great chance this for the first reserve, Alexander Bender. Now, has he got the difficulty? Has he got a couple of aces up his sleeve? 5.3 difficulty in qualification. I was about to say lovely execution too, though he's going to lose a little bit there. But he's a gymnast who started to appear in more and more finals at international level as this year has gone on. Good strength there to hold that. He's a 16-time Austrian champion, including this year's floor title. Just about everything else too. Opting for the straight-armed handstand rather than the diagonal arms that we've seen from most competitors so far. And that's just a little example for those of you new to watching the men's floor exercise of where some of the difficulty can be won and lost. But Alexander Bender didn't have much time to prepare himself for being in this floor final, though one suspects his coaches might have said to him, just be ready because you never know, after Abdelrahman El Gamal couldn't compete in the team final yesterday. But it's always great to see an athlete starting to appear in finals after a lot of competition. He'd entered 11 World Cup events coming into the Sombate World Challenge Cup in September before he made it into a final. He's a very fine study in perseverance. .166 is the score for Alexander Bender, and that brings to a close this men's floor competition. And what it means is that the Israeli athlete Artem Dolgopiat has secured himself the European title on the floor exercise. Having won the silver medal in Glasgow and in Szczecin, he now takes the gold medal. Coming into this as one of the great floor performers in the world, he certainly did deliver. The only 15 score, but what a display by Arel Benovic, Croatian athlete who came in, the 19-year-old, as the 6th strongest in qualification and really upped his game. One of very few to actually post an increase in their score in this final, along with Dolgopiat. Igor Sharamkov of Belarus couldn't quite match what he delivered in qualification, dropping down by around about half a mark, but nonetheless he is a bronze medalist, and after having finished 4th in the vault final at the European Championships in Szczecin last year for Sharamkov, this will be a lovely feeling to have got himself onto a continental podium, especially considering that he was actually on the podium before a judge's inquiry saw Andrei Medvedev's score upgraded and Sharamkov dropped down into 4th position. So this time, well, I was about to say this time he'll be delighted, but he'll probably just be waiting to see that it is absolutely confirmed, because he's once bitten, twice shy. Third time's the charm.
Değerli konuklar ve sevgili sporcular, 2020 Mersin 34. Erkekler Artistik Jimnastik Avrupa Şampiyonası Büyük Erkekler Alet Finalleri yer aleti ödül törenini arz ediyorum.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 Mersin 34th European Championships in Men's Artistic Gymnastics Seniors Apparatus Final Award on Floor Exercise are being presented.
Bronze medalist Yahor Sharamko, Belarus.
It's time for the victory ceremony in the men's floor competition here at the 2020 European Artistic Gymnastics Championships. Igor Shadamkov of Belarus, the bronze medalist. Welcome to the European Championships. Arel Benovic, the Croatian champion on floor, a real specialist, and he turned out the performance of his life to take a silver medal. One suspects we'll see a little bit more of him. For just the second time at the European Artistic Gymnastics Championships, an Israeli man finds himself taking a gold medal. Artem Dolgopiat, it's his first ever European floor title.
Awards given by Mr. Michel Boutin, Vice President of European Gymnastics, President Jury of Appeal.
Introduction of the presentation party,
European Gymnastics,
including one of the medals handed out by our TV coordinator for this competition. So don't know who's directing right now, but they're doing all right. So we'll now have the national anthem of Israel.
Please stand for the national anthem of Israel.
A first gold medal to Israel at these championships, and only their second ever at the Men's European Artistic Gymnastics Championships. There they are, the medalists in the men's floor competition at the Mersin European Championships of 2020. A little moment in the sun there for Arel Benovic, who for some time has been waiting to break through at senior level, and he's done.